All right, in this lesson, I'll introduce one of my favorite methods in Pandas, which is the value counts method. And if you're familiar with pivot tables in Excel, this will feel right at home. I'm going to use our Pokemon dataset for this lesson. So I'm going to re-import the code and call the head method to show the first three rows. And I'm using the combination of parameters, which allows me to have the Pokemon names as the series index and the types as the values. So many times we want to get a count of how many times each value occurs within our series. And this is a perfect example because many Pokemon have the exact same type. We can see 3 Pokemon with the type grass just in our first 3 rows. So if we want to get a count of all of the unique values that occur in a series, we can utilize the value counts method. So I'm going to call Pokemon, which is our series, dot as always, and the method is called value_counts, which makes sense because it's going to take all of the unique values and count how many times each of them occurs. Let's take a look. So what we're getting here back is actually a brand new Pandas series, believe it or not. And to the left, the index here represents all of the unique values that occur in the values of my original series. And to the right, my values in this brand new series are the counts. So that means that water occurs in our original Pokemon series 105 times. Normal occurs 93 times, and grass occurs 66 times, and so on. So the least common Pokemon type we can see is flying at 3 and fairy at 17. So value counts just loops through all of this stuff and counts each time it occurs. In fact, since this is a series, we can continue to call different methods on it. And one method that I wanted to call on it is sum. Why? Because if we call the sum on a series of values, and this is a series of values, it's going to add them all together. And technically speaking, if we add up all of the number of occurrences of every single item, that should equal the total length of our series. So if we take the number of times water occurs and normal occurs and grass and so on and add them together, we're going to get 721. And if I then call the count method to get the number of values within my Pokemon series, we can see it's 721. So value counts does work as promised. Now there's a couple additional parameters that I want to dive into, so I'm once again going to show you Pokemon and then call the value counts method on it. So there we have our count of each type that occurs, which is our series values. Now you can see it has a ascending equals false parameter set at the very top, and if we change that default argument from false to true, what that's going to do is give it to us in reverse order. So the values that occur the least frequently, the most rarest, are going to show up at the top, and then the ones that occur the most frequently, which is water, normal, and grass, are going to show up at the bottom. So that's just one way that we can sort of shift the data. It's very similar to doing something like a pivot operation in Excel where we just count the number of occurrences of each value that occurs in a specific column. It's very similar. But value counts is a very effective method to run through a single series that has duplicates and just count how many times each one of them occurs. So I'll see you in the very next lesson.